What's going on YouTube? Flamerailzzz here. Now, today, this is a re-upload for my tutorial, how to import Google Earth images into Trainz Simulator and how to use. This is an updated video for my other tutorial, my older, outdated version that I uploaded about a year ago. This is to make up for the horrible audio quality and tutorial quality that I failed to deliver. And I just want to be the first to say I apologize for such a horrible experience that you guys had watching that video, and I'm going to make it up to you today. So, enough of me talking and explaining what we're doing today. Let's get into the video, okay? First things first. Sorry, I did not realize I had Bandicam still sitting there. First things first, I'll leave the links in the description. You must download this program here, Google Earth Pro, and Basemaps application. I will leave the links in the description as I did for my older video. And you must download them onto your computer. Now, once you have both of those applications downloaded from their respective websites, first thing you'll need to do for this process is open up Google Earth Pro. Don't worry, it's free now. It's been free for a while. Just close this startup message. Okay, this white box up here. You find your city that you're planning to trace and build. For me, it will be Mableton, Georgia. So I'm going to type in Mableton, Georgia for this tutorial. Once you type in your city, it pops up. Click it. Click search. Click the little search button. Let it zoom in on where you're going. All right. Now, you zoom, and continue zooming until you are right over where you are trying to go and trace and model. Okay. Now for me, as it was in my older video, I'm going to be trying to do Mableton, Georgia, as it is part of one of my projects that I'm currently working on. It's kind of difficult at first, but as long as you keep doing it, you'll get the hang of this process. You zoom in. Keep an eye on your eye altitude down here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm like right down here in the bottom right corner of your screen. The thing that says eye altitude. Make sure you are about 3,200, between 2,250 to 3,300 feet in the air. And make sure that you're like facing the ground directly. Sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit. But you must be facing the ground directly, because you know it's gonna throw you off if you try to build with it kind of offset it kind of at an angle, and it's just gonna make the whole building process a little bit harder than it needs to be. And I don't want that. I don't want it to happen to you guys. And as I explained earlier, now make sure your eye altitude is between 3,250 to 3,300 feet. I'm right there at the line, 3,299 feet. Okay, so once you have centered your base map, make sure you center it on the track so you can, get the route. Center it on the track. Now, for some of you guys, this thing might be here on the side. What you want to do to get this out of the way is just click this little thing that I clicked here to get it open. Click it to close it so you can get the full image that you're trying to build. You need to get the full image, So now that you have your image scaled and you have your eye altitude in exactly the right range it needs to be in, and the reason it needs to be in this range in the eye altitude is because when you import it into Trainz Simulator, the assets that are in Trainz are scaled to be whatever scale you have set in the game, and you need that to be correct. So all the assets fit such as the track, because you'll need the train tracks being smaller than the tracks are in the game. So that's why you need to have the eye altitude and everything correct. Now, once you have everything set up, this button here, second button to the right of this little toolbar here, click this button to save image. You go to resolution, select 1080p because that's a very sharp resolution to have. Keep centering it. Have it centered, have it scaled and everything, have everything pretty ship shape. Go to map options Remove title and description and remove the legend, because that's going to be on your base map if you leave it there, and it's going to show in the game, and I don't want that to happen to you guys. Now, the Google Earth logo down here, you can't do anything about because you did get it from Google Earth, and it's their program. So that thing you can't do anything about. You can remove the compass over here to your bottom right and your scale, but then it's going to be kind of hard for you to know mainly which direction you're building your route in, because if you're building a real route, you want to know that you're building it in the right direction. So that's why I would leave the compass, and the scale, it'll help you for your future base maps that you take and screenshot and such things of that nature. So that way you can kind of get a clear understanding on what each base map needs to look like as far as zoom distance. So once you're done with that, you just click save image, and save it into a folder. I'll show you that. Now for me, I've already saved the image just before this video because I did a try run. So you just save it, name it, make sure you put it in a Basemaps folder, preferably in your documents or wherever you'd like. Make a folder for all of your Trainz base maps, and make sure that you put each base map into its own folder. I put this image that I screenshotted earlier from the dry run into the folder Mapleton because it needs to be in its own folder, and you'll understand that why soon. Once you've saved that image, you can now close Google Earth Pro, and then now we can move on to the Basemaps program. Come on. Now, step 1. Select the track plan image from which you would like to create Trainz base maps. This is pretty much the image you just took from Google Earth. This is where you actually make it into an asset that you can import into Trainz. Now, you pretty much click browse, find where you store the image, and then once you have it, go to step 2. Make sure you set this to number 132, because that's real scale, that's real world scale, instead of all these model scales that you see like host scale and O scale and TT scale and N scale and Z scale, and that'll just mess everything up. So make sure it's set to 1. Double check that. That's first and foremost, and then click render route image. Now, for most of you guys, it's gonna be not looking like this. It's gonna look like a bunch of purple boxes. What you need to do is change your dimensions so that the image fits into one purple box, this outline here, because that's actually like, let's say you add a section in Train Simulator. This purple box represents the section that you're going to lay the base map on. And it needs to be fitted into this purple box exactly right. So what you would do over here, up here, I don't know if you guys can see it up here, change your dimension, the X and Y dimensions, to 72 feet. By 11.75 inches for the X dimensions, and then for your Y dimensions, set it to 72 feet by 5 inches in dimensions. That way it will perfectly fit your base map image into this one box. And verify to make sure that you don't see any gaps or anything, because if you see gray, it's not perfectly centered into the box. Step 3, once you were finished with step 2, you just leave everything here. This is really not important. You just leave everything in 1, total base maps at 1, and select generate base maps. And your content ID, this is very important. Every time you make a base map, make sure you change your content ID. Here's why: because if you leave the content ID the same, it will replace the base map that you already imported before. Like, let's say screenshot this base map, and then I move further down the track and get another one. The one that I screenshotted before this will be replaced because I didn't change the asset KUID. So this is why this is very important for you to change. And you need to make sure that you are consistently changing this. So for me, I would just change it to that. You can put in your author information if you like. It doesn't really matter. You can also have a choice to make a new route. The game will make a new route for you with this base map already put on it, but for this tutorial we won't do that, so uncheck that box and we'll select, and make sure if you want to do route, make sure you change this content ID as well for the same reason up here. Select OK. Once you're done, Trainz user ID. Oh yeah, you must put your Trainz user ID in. I forgot to mention that, sorry. So yeah, you will need to do that. Okay, make sure you find your Trainz user ID. If you don't know it, log into your My Trainz account and look for it in your select my account information. Sorry that the video kind of cut off. Bandicam hit me with that 10-minute timer. Um, Moving on, continuing with the video. Yes, make sure you fill in your Trainz user ID for Basemap, because yeah, you will need it because you created the asset. So yes, of course. Make sure you fill in your author name and your Trainz user ID, and everything else leave it as the same as I mentioned earlier, and click OK. And then it will begin to make the base map for your game. All requested base maps were successfully created. Now you select OK. In step 4, it will tell you where the asset was sent to. So this is where you can find it on your computer, just so you can import it into Trainz Simulator. And I recommend selecting Open. That way you know, that way you can have it ready to drag it into Trainz. And this is the folder. This is the folder that you need to drag in. You need to drag the whole Trainz import folder into it. We'll close that for now. Now, in step 5, it pretty much explains the rest of the video. Open the auto-created route or create a new route with the necessary baseboards and place the base maps as appropriate and start tracing. And that's pretty much all there is to this process. But I'm going to show you guys. Now, once you've completed the base maps process and the Google Earth process and you are ready to go, open your Trainz Simulator. Open up Trainz. We will be using Trainz Railroad Simulator 2019 for this tutorial. In my previous tutorial, we used Trainz Simulator 12. Select Manage Content. And what we're going to do is go to File, select Import Content Folder, and you are going to go, I'm running out of storage. You're going to go and find where you stored your base map and select. Once you find the folder, and inside the folder should be the Trainz import folder. If you don't see it, just look in there for it. It's in there. Select folder. Oh. Oof. Okay, apparently I already had an asset in here that's already had the KUID. This is why it's kind of important to make sure you change your KUIDs, because this happens. Okay, so now that the base map is imported into Trainz, you are ready to start building. So we're going to switch over to Trainz so I can show you guys what I'm showing you. Alright, now that we have started Trainz up, we are ready to begin the building process and build our real world route. So what you need to do is go to Driver or Surveyor, or if you're playing in an older version of Trainz, just go to Routes and select Create a Route. Alright, now I'm going to name the route to whatever you'd like. In this case, I'm going to name it to Tutorial. And geographical region, select your country. I'm American, so it's United States for us. And make sure your working scale is set to real scale, because it's real life. It's a real life route you're building if you're doing this entire process. And make sure your working units are set appropriately to your system of measurements. I'm American, so for me it will be Imperial. Once you're done with that, select the check mark at the bottom, and let's get started. Now, here's where the fun part begins. You got your new baseboard here. The first thing you need to do before putting your base map down is go to your Layers tab. Under where you are on the root layer, make sure you add a layer and name it Basemaps. And I'm going to explain why you need to do this. And make sure you select add to root and not a session, because if you add it to the session, it's going to be there when you play like an actual session when you're driving trains and stuff, and I don't want that to happen to you guys. So make sure you leave it to route, so it'll just be there for when you're building, and when you're done, you can delete it. Delete the base maps off the root. That's what I mean. Now, here's why you need to do this to make it make a layer for the base maps, because when you lay them down, it's down on the layer as it's down on the root as an object. It'll be under here. This is where your base maps are stored. They act as objects. And the reason for that is it technically is, because you're using it and you placed it somewhere, and it's just there sitting there looking pretty. So when you, let's say I'm gonna put a random one here. When you lay a base map down and you begin, let's say you begin building over it, S-Town building. I'm just gonna play a bunch of random buildings and stuff. When you decide to start building and laying tracks and all of this other good stuff, you build over it and then you try to move it. You might, yeah, as you see, I tried to click the buildings and move it, then the whole base map moves. This is why you need to have the base maps on a separate layer. I'm going to undo all of this so I can show you guys what I mean. All right. And for those of you who are pretty, can pretty much, you think you can figure this out, that's pretty much how you import base maps into Trainz Simulator. But for the guys who feel they need a little bit more time to get this down, you can stay and watch. Now, make sure your root layer is locked. We're on the focus on the base map layer right now. Find your base map that you imported, and if you're new to this, it should only be one base map. If you've been doing this for a while, you're pretty familiar with this process, clearly. Let's see, where is it? I have quite a few of them, so it's going to take me a minute to find it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Now, this is the base map this isn't the base map that we had in there, but it's pretty much the same. So we'll just use it for the video. 156 KUID. All right. Now you've got your base map set down over top of the root baseboard, right? You go back to your layers once you have your base map laid down. You click this little lock to lock the base map layer, and then you go to your other layer. You're back to your root layer. You unlock that layer. Then you can begin your building. Now, as I showed you earlier in the video, if you lay down an object or a building or anything like that, it pretty much what would happen. The whole base map will move. But if you do what I just did, that won't happen. The only thing that will move is what you want to move at that point. And make sure you pay close attention to what layer you're putting everything on, because you might accidentally put it on the base map layer. And then if you need to move it, and because things ain't working out, yeah, you already know what's going to happen. But that's all there is to it. This is pretty much how you import everything you need to import into Trainz Simulator and how to build it for your projects. And this is pretty much what sums everything up. You can begin your building and doing whatever you plan to do, all at your disposal. Just make sure that you follow all the steps, and make sure the important things that I want you guys to really remember: change your KUIDs, and make sure that when you're building, you make sure you do the layer thing. Make sure you change your layers. It is very important. And make sure that you change your KUIDs. That's even more important, because I'm telling you, it's gonna be very irritating and it's gonna be very frustrating when you do all of this work and it gets messed up, because you didn't change the KUID, and your base map ends up gone, and you have to go back and remake the asset again with that base map. It's not gonna be a pretty day. It's not gonna be a fun day. Going back and having to redo your work again. I know it's happened to me. It's happened to me. It's not a fun experience. But that's all there is to it, guys. Um Now that this video is over, I just want to take the time again to my viewers of my old video. I would again like to apologize for such a horrible audio experience that you guys had with that video. And from here on out, that won't happen. That will not happen anymore. I can guarantee you that. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, rail fan on, guys.